What is good? What is up? It's Jordan or Texans Thoughts, and I'm back with another video. Today, I'm going to be breaking down one of the best free agents this year, Yannick Ngakoue. He's one of the most consistent pass rushers in the NFL, never having a season with less than 8 sacks, and is also a turnover machine with 18 career forced fumbles. However, he's somewhat flying under the radar this offseason, as some teams and fans prefer Shaq Barrett, Bud Dupree, and even guys like Trey Hendrickson, who's got more sacks than him. So today, I'm going to show you why Ngakoue is an elite pass rusher, why he did not have an elite 2020 but still deserves to be paid big time. If you enjoy the video, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, more free agency videos coming, and comment down below your thoughts on Yannick Ngakoue. Now, let's break down the film, because the film don't lie. The first thing that stood out to me about Ngakoue's 2020 season was the elite competition he was playing. If you're going to pay Ngakoue $20 million plus a year, like an elite top of the line defensive lineman, I need Ngakoue to win against the elite offensive tackles in the NFL. And in his first 5 games this year, he went up against a brutal gauntlet of elite tackles. From David Bakhtiari in the Packers to Anthony Costanzo of the Colts, Taylor Lewan of the Titans, Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard of the Texans, and finally Dwayne Brown of the Seahawks. Now, if you look at the box scores, you'd be running Ngakoue a dump truck of money, as he racked up 5 sacks versus the tackles I just mentioned. However, not every sack is earned equally. Texans fans have learned that lesson from Whitney Merciless's great start to the 2019 season, where he got 5 sacks in his first 5 games, and he's been MIA ever since. So let's look at how Ngakoue got those 5 sacks, see if it was by great moves that will continue to translate over the years, or through luck. Sack number 1 came versus Anthony Costanzo in the Colts, and he just beat Costanzo off the snap. Ngakoue has great burst off the snap, accelerating past offensive linemen and creating an instant advantage. But on this play, Costanzo just turned his head and wasn't ready for the snap. Any defensive end could get the sack here when they have a clean run to the quarterback. And you can be looking clean thanks to F Custom, the best site for custom jerseys. Whether you're sacking the quarterback, stealing a base, splashing a 3, or smashing your girl, starting at just $24.99, you can customize jerseys or hoodies however you'd like. Use code Texans Thoughts for 10% off. The link is in the description. Ngakoue's next 3 sacks in 2020 were all just from having a great motor, and it tells the true story of how he fared versus elite competition this year. While the box score reads 5 sacks, 3 of them were what I like to call effort sacks that came, long after the ball should have already been out. Rushing versus Laramie Tunsil, Ngakoue tries an inside-out cross chop, but is stonewalled. Laramie shoots his hands out quickly to slow down Ngakoue's hands, and Ngakoue does defeat Laramie's initial punch, but Tunsil quickly fires his hands back out again and nullifies Ngakoue. Watson had time to hit the top of his drop, read the defense for a second, step up in the pocket, drop the ball, and then he got sacked by Ngakoue. Now, Tunsil definitely could have done a better job blocking until the whistle, but he held Ngakoue in check for damn near 4 seconds. It happened again in the same game, and fun fact, but the Vikings initially had Ngakoue rushing versus Titus Howard in the first quarter, trying to take advantage of what they thought was their better matchup, but Titus was locking down Ngakoue, so they moved him over to Laramie Tunsil instead. I mean, that's got to be annoying for defensive ends. Anyways though, back to the sack, and Ngakoue uses a cross chop club combo move. But Tunsil counters by getting his hands into the belly of Ngakoue, moving his feet, and pushing Ngakoue past the pocket, not allowing him to bend that corner to the quarterback. One more time here versus Dwayne Brown for his 4th sack, and same thing. Wilson has all the time in the world, can step up in the pocket, but Ngakoue eventually wins out. Now, usually I don't think these types of, motor effort sacks are the best, most translatable sacks, because they're a bit more fluky than, a perfectly executed bull rush or spin move. However, for Ngakoue, these effort sacks have been part of his winning formula his entire career, In 2017, when he had 12.5 sacks, his career high, you can find a few effort sacks, motor sacks in there. Same thing with 2018, same thing for 2019. Each of these years, he's gonna have these few 3-4 effort sacks because that's just who he is. He's going 110% all the damn time. So it's one thing to get lucky and get a bunch of these effort sacks in one year, have your breakout year and then get paid and overpaid, Trey Hendrickson. But this has always been part of Ngakoue's game. He's proven he can earn all these effort sacks on a yearly basis. It's not just that he's fluky. However, sacks aren't everything, and continuing with the line of, how do you earn a sack? Well, for the most part, you have to beat the man in front of you, right? And while Ngakoue still had 8 sacks on the year, he wasn't beating offensive linemen as often, as evidenced by him having the lowest pressures of his career in 2020 with just 26. Now, the major reason why his production fell off was because his main go-to move that has earned him so many sacks in the past just wasn't connecting right. For most of the 5 games against elite tackles, Ngakoue was held in check, and he couldn't sniff the quarterback apart from those 5 sacks he did get. And we can analyze what that move is supposed to look like with his 1 sack out of his first 5 that I think was actually, a damn good move and not just an effort sack. This is textbook teaching tape right here, and Ngakoue is going to use his vaunted cross chop. It's a chop because he chops down on the tackle's hands like a karate chop breaking a brick, and the cross part is because he uses his inside hand to beat the outside hand of the tackle, crossing it over his body. The tackle stupidly leaves his hands out as an easy target for Ngakoue, so he's able to quickly chop down on it and defeat it. Defeating that outside hand is everything, and Ngakoue is able to bend the edge and swat away at the quarterback with ease, forcing the fumble. But for most of the season, Ngakoue just couldn't seem to perfect the timing of that move. And I think that's caused by, COVID shortening the offseason, so it was tougher for him to transition to a new team with the Vikings, then having to learn another complicated defensive playbook mid-season with Baltimore, and he was just thinking more than reacting and playing instinctual like he usually does. But as the season progressed, he was able to get the timing down better and start to look like his old self again. So we talked about why Ngakoue had a down year, relatively speaking, because his standards are so high usually, but I still think he deserves to get paid, somewhere in that $17 to $20 million per year range. Because although his go-to move just wasn't connecting as much as it usually does, he only got 2 sacks on the year where he usually gets around 5 on that one move alone. If that cross chop landed more often, he could have had another double-digit year. But he's not just a one-trick pony. All the best pass rushers usually have their go-to move, but what separates the elite from the great is having a few other moves, especially counter moves, to throw at offensive linemen. Ngakoue has plenty of variety, and his favorite counter to his cross chop is the long arm move. The long arm is essentially a one-handed bull rush where you extend your inside arm into the chest of the offensive line, get low, run your feet, and drive forward, collapsing that pocket. Ngakoue didn't get any sacks on this move, but he made quarterbacks uncomfortable. This play illustrates exactly how he uses it as a counter to his cross chop. At this point, Ngakoue is painting the picture of a cross chop as his left hand goes up and could be chopping down on the outside hand of the tackle. So from the tackle's perspective, he is going to try and mess up the timing of the cross chop. So he drops his hands to his waist and is going to try and re-engage quickly after. However, Ngakoue is already a step ahead and knows what's coming. Since the tackle's hands are by his waist, his chest is exposed for the long arm. And if you can get into your opponent's chest like this, it's game over. It's a great changeup from the finesse moves that Ngakoue usually uses, but he can always convert his speed to power as well. Another counter Ngakoue uses off his cross chop is the spin move. He starts his rush to the outside and gets exactly what he wants from the right tackle. He's leveraged to stop an outside rush. Look how his hips and shoulders are pointed to the sideline. However, the tackle also throws out an early punch, so Ngakoue chops down with his inside hand, but he's not done. Within the same motion, he's going to twist his hips, get low, and start that spin move. Then he's going to do a great job on finishing the spin, where you can see his left arm, the arm he didn't use on the chop, is going to wrap around the waist of the tackle and keep him from pushing Ngakoue out of the play. Ngakoue had 2 sacks from this move in 2020, and it's something that has been consistently part of his winning formula in 2017, 18, and 19. He got sacks off this spin move 5 times in total in those years, and his 2 sacks versus Jacksonville this season were both from the spin move. Now, another pattern I noticed in Ngakoue's game is he picks up these sacks in bunches. He's had 2 or more sacks in multiple games each season. When he's on and has a good matchup, he is on. The spin move is one of his favorites, like I said, and he's so good at getting a tackle to think he's going one way, then spin back the other. Sometimes he'll rush really hard inside, selling, a slanted rush. Then as the tackle tries to gain leverage versus that slant, boom, he'll spin back the opposite way and beat you. Ngakoue will set up that move during the game at hand, but it's also littered all throughout his tape. So, if tackles want to do some film study and see how Ngakoue wins, they'll see he uses this quick inside move a lot, and sell out to stop it. Thus, Ngakoue can counter with the spin move. However, if the tackle doesn't take the inside move seriously, then they can get embarrassed. Ngakoue is like a wide receiver running routes. His first move is rarely where he actually wants to go. He's going to sell you the story you want to see, and then do the opposite. This is really where his lightning fast burst off the snap comes in handy and forces offensive linemen to hold him. I love his awareness as well when using these inside moves. Here the Titans are going to one of their go-to play action calls where they pull the left guard Roger Saffold and Tannehill drops back. Since the guard is pulling, they are trusting Lewan all on his own with no inside help from a guard. With that gap vacated, Ngakoue knows he has more space to the inside than usual. So he takes advantage, gets pressure on Tannehill and forces an inaccurate throw to an otherwise wide open target. Due to the numerous ways Ngakoue can beat offensive tackles and wreak havoc on quarterback, he is deserving of a big time contract. And he can fit into essentially any team in the NFL. In my opinion, he's best suited for a 4-3 defense where he can just play that defensive end role and focus on getting after the quarterback, instead of, dropping in coverage on occasion like the Ravens had implemented him with their 3-4 defense. In terms of run defense, he's not a standout here. I'd say his impact is pretty average overall. He will make splash plays here and there, using his athleticism to make tackle for losses, and when he's locked in, he can set the edge and won't get pushed off the line of scrimmage. But there are times where his effort wanes, and he can be blocked downfield by tight ends or moved easily on double teams. It's interesting, he puts so much effort and has such an amazing motor when rushing the passer that he can get you 4 sacks on effort alone, but some of that energy thus comes at a cost, with not going 100% in the run game all the time. Overall, Ngakoue is a stud of a defensive end and is the best guy available, assuming Shaq Barrett does remain with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If your favorite NFL team has the chance to throw the bag at Ngakoue, take your shot. There's not many 26-year-olds with his resume, variety of moves, and success versus elite competition. Alright, that's going to do it for the video. If you enjoyed, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and comment down below your thoughts on the video. Take care everyone, come back for more, and remember, the film don't lie.